Good evening. My name is Arthur Wilczynski, and I'm Canada's ambassador to Norway. I'm also the head of delegation for Canada to the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. But perhaps more importantly, I'm also the son and grandson of Holocaust survivors and victims. I'm sorry that I cannot be with you tonight at this important event at Kehilat Bet Israel in Ottawa. I would like to thank Batya Weiner and the Centre for Holocaust Education and Scholarship for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. Thanks also to the Azrieli Foundation and to the Max and Tessie Zelikovich Center for Jewish Studies at Carleton University. It is an honor to be able to open this gathering and to share your time with such a distinguished group of speakers. Each one of them bring a depth of knowledge and expertise that is truly inspiring. Perhaps more significantly, what all of us hold in common is a determination to keep the Holocaust, the systematic, planned, deliberate, and implemented policy of mass murder of the Jewish people by Nazi Germany, present in the collective conscience of humanity. Much like the survivors themselves, the second and subsequent generations have unique and distinctive voices that are based in each of our individual experiences with the Shoah. For me, it is difficult to explain how significant a role the Holocaust played in my and my family's life. It would not be an overstatement to say that it has shaped me as a person. It has influenced my personal life, and it has had a profound effect on my professional life. One of the key aspects of honoring the victims and survivors of the Holocaust is to tell their stories. As descendants, each of our families have histories that are tragic and unique. Yet as descendants, we are a constant and eternal reminder that the attempt by Nazi Germany and its collaborators to murder us, to erase the Jewish people from history, failed. Our very existence is testimony to survival, resilience, and to reconciliation. Our existence is also an obligation to stand for fundamental and universal values, such as respect for human rights, inclusion, and diversity. My existence compels me to honor and remember the sacrifice of my parents, grandparents, and their siblings. It compels me to honor and remember the sacrifices of 6 million Jewish souls who were murdered, and the millions more who survived, yet were forever and fundamentally damaged by the collective experience of the Holocaust. My existence compels me to move beyond memory and to work toward a more compassionate, inclusive, and fair future for all of us. My family came from Łódź in central Poland. I am an immigrant to Canada. My family were forced out of Poland in 1969 as part of a purge of the remnants of the post-Holocaust Jewish community in Poland by its then communist regime. It was the second time that my family was forced from their homes in Łódź. The first was in the aftermath of the German Nazi invasion of Poland in 1939. My immediate family survived the Holocaust because they managed to flee before they were rounded up by the Nazi apparatus. Both my maternal and paternal grandmothers crossed the border between Nazi-occupied and Soviet-occupied Poland and headed east. My father was a toddler, a little over a year old when he was whisked away by his mother. My mother was born in Magnitogorsk in the Soviet Union in 1941. She never knew her father. She never knew her older sister. Her father was killed as a soldier fighting the Nazis. Her sister died of disease in the terrible conditions faced by displaced persons across the Soviet Union. Our extended family, my grandparents' siblings, their families, my great-grandparents, were all first interned in Łódź ghetto and then murdered by the Nazis. After the war, my grandparents decided to stay in Poland, committed to the system that they thought saved them. They contributed to the reconstruction of Poland. While they were Jews, they did not practice. They never passed their knowledge or tradition of Judaism to their children, my parents. They thought that the communist system that they worked in was right. We were displaced a second time in 1969 and came to Canada, sponsored by a family who came here to Montreal before the war. My parents felt that I would benefit from religious instruction, something that they did not get. While in Poland, we were Jews. In Montreal and at Solomon Schechter Academy, I was the Pole. For my classmates, the fact that I was born in Poland made them associate the Holocaust with me. Every time we had lectures or assemblies in our school, my classmates would turn to me and say, "You must feel terrible." But what this did was, from the point of elementary school onward, I felt an obligation to be informed, to study, to read, to talk about the Shoah, because it was a personal family responsibility. That responsibility is what compelled me over the course of my career to work for and support human rights for all, giving back to the public and giving back to Canada for what it had done for me and my family. This was a motivation that saw its genesis in the legacy of the Holocaust. To give back to my community for me as an act of remembrance and honor. To contribute to an inclusive and just Canada is legacy for me. Being Canada's head of delegation to the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance is a remarkable honor, yet it is also a burden. There are both professional and personal challenges in navigating public policy space that cuts this close to my family experience. But I see it as a fundamentally important priority. Over the course of the past year, I've met with dozens of Canadians who are involved in Holocaust education, research, remembrance, and commemoration. I've met with organizations in Vancouver, Winnipeg, Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal. I've spoken with Holocaust experts and researchers. I've engaged with rabbis and other community leaders to help shape Canada's approach. At its core, IRA must continue to support global efforts to remember the specificity of the Holocaust. It must support experts to achieve their objectives. This is a critical time for IRA. It is undergoing an important strategic review process, a prioritization exercise. Canada will strongly support proposals from IRA's Strategic Planning Group for a vision that is focused on a world that remembers the Holocaust. We are supportive of and focused on a world without genocide, two key elements of the vision. We strongly support its mission of uniting governments and experts to strengthen, advance, and promote Holocaust education, remembrance, and research worldwide, and to uphold the commitments of the 2000 Holocaust Stockholm Declaration. We believe that the priority of countering Holocaust distortion and safeguarding the record is essential. Yet we have to find a way of doing this in a manner that keeps the organization relevant in today's complex environment, and in a manner that honors the memory and legacy of both victims and survivors. This can only be done if we effectively engage with the descendants of the victims and survivors of the Holocaust. It can only be done, can only happen, if we engage with you. I look forward to hearing the outcomes of this conference. They are important in shaping our collective approach to preserving memory of the Holocaust. As descendants, I feel we have an obligation to speak out. We have an obligation to act. As the descendant of survivors, I was moved on September 27th when Canada inaugurated the National Holocaust Monument in Ottawa. This is an important step that will unite all Canadians in remembering the millions of members of the Jewish community and all innocent victims of Nazism who died in the Holocaust and other Nazi crimes, and the survivors who came to Canada to rebuild their lives. But what is essential is that we continue to engage in and discuss this darkest period of human history in a manner that helps create a more just and equitable future for all of us. Thank you.